Hey everybody, welcome back to Swan Signal Live. Got a really fun one for you today. This is kind of like a pre-conference little party we got going on celebrating Bitcoin 2021 coming at you next week. We are stoked at Swan because we've got something epic in store for you all. There's lots of epic stuff going on next week in Miami, but we will be a part of that. We're going to have a giant dome tent outside the venue next to the 360 bar. And it's going to be, all branded with Swan stuff. It's going to look beautiful. Inside, we'll be broadcasting live the entire time, both days. We'll have, all the Bitcoiners you love coming in, sitting down to talk Bitcoin with us, talk about what they're speaking about, talk about what has inspired them from the conference and the surrounding events that week. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you tune in to Bitcoin TV. That's our 24/7 stream. That's on this channel, on this YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Swan Signal. And you'll see the Bitcoin TV stream. We're going to be broadcasting on Bitcoin TV both days of the conference. It's going to be fantastic. We're excited about it. We've got lots of other cool events coming from the Swan Dome, including Vijay Boyapati's book signing for the book form, the expanded edition of The Absolute GOAT, Bullish Case for Bitcoin. So Vijay will be in the dome signing books. We've got other events like that too, tons of merch inside and lots of fun stuff going on. So if you are going to Miami, definitely come check us out in the Swan Dome. You can watch some of the live broadcasts right there in person, and it's going to be great. So if you are not stacking yet with Swan Bitcoin, please start. Get over to swanbitcoin.com. It is the best way to stack sats, to accumulate Bitcoin with automatic recurring buys, instant buys, and wires up to 10 million bucks. We've had so much demand on these dips that we've had to go out and find a much bigger liquidity source. We're bringing on a new OTC desk to provide some redundancy and deeper liquidity. So that smash buy function should be a lot more reliable on those big dips when the demand really comes. And it's hard to come by Bitcoin because people are buying up like crazy. Like this past dip down to 30K. We're, of course, going to see more of those as this bull run continues. So we are trying to make sure that we are ready as possible for you guys to smash those dips super hard. We have the lowest fees in the industry for the services we provide. We're up to 80% lower than Coinbase, absolutely crushing Coinbase. No reason to be on Coinbase. We are Bitcoin only, so we don't have to support all those shit coins. We can focus only on Bitcoin education, on great customer service, and low fees. We're also about 50% lower on fees than Cash App. So head over our way, move your stacking over to Swan. We also have an incredibly fast onboarding process now. So Jan Pritzker and his squad have built out a really smooth, awesome onboarding experience now. So feel confident sending your family and friends our way. The experience, I think, is the best in the industry. It takes 5 minutes. 3/4 of our new accounts are approved almost instantly. So you can go from zero to Bitcoin, your friends and family can, within 5-10 minutes, which is an incredible experience. You can be there right there with them as they go through this process. No long, verification process for 75% or so of our new clients. The other 25% need to go through a manual review. That happens as fast as possible too. We've got a review squad that takes those and reviews and approves them as fast as possible. So that's usually done within a day or two. It's a great experience. And we've been talking a lot about, on Bitcoin Twitter, and Bitcoiners been talking a lot about pay me in Bitcoin, and this idea of getting some of your paycheck in Bitcoin. We've seen Russell Okung, we've seen Sean Culkin, we've seen lots of other kind of big athletes and stuff starting to really push this idea forward. Well, that's basically what dollar cost averaging is. That's what automatic recurring buys are. It is paying yourself in Bitcoin. It's getting paid in Bitcoin. Your paycheck comes into your checking account. You have your checking account connected to Swan. We automatically pull whatever percentage of your paycheck that you want to buy Bitcoin with, and we automatically turn it into Bitcoin. So you can pay yourself with Bitcoin. That's what DCA is. So get started on that. You deserve it. Bitcoin is money that respects your time, right? You are working hard and you're earning a money that doesn't respect that hard work that you're doing, the time that you're spending doing that hard work. You need a money that is going to be not inflated, not debased for long periods of time, and you deserve that, right? Forever. That's, Bitcoin is the closest thing to absolute scarcity that we can get with money. Time is also absolutely scarce. So it makes perfect sense. Bitcoin is time money. It's money that respects your time. So, if you're not stacking, you should be doing so. If you can stack more, it's a long-term investment we're talking about here. If you buy $50 every week for the past 3 years, you'll have turned $7,850 into over $50,000. This makes, we make this easy as possible for you to take advantage of that. One last thing I want to note, Swan Private Client Services. All right, this is the division of Swan that we have spun up to meet an incredible demand coming in for corporations, businesses wanting to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets. And of course, high net worth individuals, more and more of them are coming in to start stacking this asset that, the best investors in the world, Ray Dalio most recently coming out and saying, I'd rather have Bitcoin than bonds as a long-term store of value. And he's right. They're all right. But everyone's kind of waking up to this idea, right? So with Swan Private Client Services, if you're looking to buy over $25,000 worth of Bitcoin this year, up to whatever amount you have in mind, we can help you. We are here. Our squad, our Swan Private Client Services team is here to kind of walk you through that journey through Bitcoin, your Bitcoin journey. And we are here for you. Now, we're hearing from a lot of our clients that the experience they've had is just, a completely different league than they've had at other larger exchanges, Coinbase, Kraken, etc. We are approving accounts much faster. We have, have humans that will talk to you about what Bitcoin is, about how it fits into your investment thesis, and how it fits into your treasury thesis and strategy. And we're there for you after, not just onboarding, right? We just don't bring you on and then just kind of forget about you. We have a team that is there for you, throughout your whole journey. So it's really cool that we can provide that service, a more personal touch, and we're really ramping up that part of the business. Exciting to see it grow. So check out Swan Private Client Services at swanbitcoin.com/private, and refer any of your friends, family who own businesses, who are looking to stack more than 25K in a year to Swan Private Client Services. All right, that's it for today on that front. I'm going to bring in Mr. Kenny Florian. And hey, how's it going, Kenny? It's good to see you,
Good, man. Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I'm stoked for next week. Bitcoin is exciting as ever, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. Jessica was popped on for a while there. She's in a hotel and dealing with hotel Wi-Fi, so we'll bring her in when she comes back. For now, Kenny, why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself, tell us your story, who you are, for the audience who may not know.
Cool. So I'm a former mixed martial artist. I fought in the UFC for several years, retired back in 2011. I did martial arts as a kid, always loved that, and kind of felt this spiritual connection to the martial arts, and loved the evolution of it. And then kind of reconnected with the martial arts when I was at Boston College playing soccer, and just loved it. I became kind of obsessed with it. It was the only thing I would think about, and ultimately, competed in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments turned into wanting to just try one mixed martial arts fight just to see how it would go. I was like, all right, let me see how I would do against another trained martial artist in a real fight. One fight became 2 fights, and then became 3 fights. I ended up getting onto the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, back when kind of reality shows were just kind of starting out. And we were essentially the guinea pigs of that situation. I ended up getting a contract with the UFC. I fought in the finale, a couple weight classes above my weight. I think I was the smallest and least experienced guy. I got to the final somehow, and got my ass kicked in the final. That was when I really kind of decided to be a professional fighter. I was like, I don't want to go out like that. That's not a good performance. I felt like I beat myself, and then that's kind of where the true mixed martial arts journey started for me. It once again became kind of this deeper rabbit hole of trying to improve myself, and constantly looking at my weaknesses to get better. And I ended up getting cool opportunities to do commentary work for the UFC and for ESPN. Hosted a show on Fox Sports after that as well, and then had the opportunity to do commentary for a show called BattleBots, which is started out on ABC. Now it's on Discovery Channel, and owned a couple gyms and had the opportunity to travel all over the world. And yeah, that's pretty much my story, I guess.
It sounds like a fun way to spend your days now, man. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you've kind of built up. Yeah, I mean, just everything you're doing is fun. It's what you're interested in. I've seen BattleBots. It's pretty crazy. You know, you also have recently had a kiddo, your
Yes.
second kiddo. So like,
Yes.
you know, within the past week or two, that's pretty exciting, man. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The parenting journey is a challenging one, man. You've had a lot, you know, stepped into the ring with challenges with some of the baddest dudes on the planet. So how does parenting compare to fighting in the ring?
You know, I always felt like it was kind of easy to train and get ready for a fight because there's someone who is training to kick your ass. So that was always motivating. You know, it was kind of easy to get up and train and do that work. Parenting is totally different. You know, obviously it's all about them. You know, when I was a fighter, I was extremely selfish and just did whatever I could to get better. And if I needed to travel here, I could just leave on a whim or bring people in or whatever. It was all about me, and I was single at the time. So now it's totally different. It is all about my kids and trying to do the best job possible for them and give them the tools that they need to grow and be prosperous and be successful in their life.
Do you consider Bitcoin to be one of those tools?
Without a question. I think that was kind of one of my main motivations. I guess over the last few years, you know, I'm a new parent, but certainly that is one of the things is, you know, thinking about what you can do to give your kids something that can be passed on, something that, you know, that could be considered generational wealth. But, you know, it's much more than that because now I think it allows me to also, I mean, the best that I can educate them about Bitcoin and finances and being responsible about that stuff and giving them kind of the tools behind Bitcoin to be successful and to utilize those things wisely. So it's more motivation for me to learn as much as possible and for me to pass on that knowledge the best that I can.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think about a Bitcoin future as a parent. You know, this thing has come so far in just 12 years, thinking about where it will be 12 years from now, you know, when our kids are, you know, getting to the point where they're basically going to become Bitcoin natives, I guess. Like, you know, some generations are called digital natives, where they've grown up knowing nothing but the internet. So we've got generation growing up now that we can call a Bitcoin native, and they'll know through this kind of practical real world technology that we have what money is supposed to be, right? As opposed to like the last, you know, 50, 60, 70 years, these generations growing up thinking that, including myself, right? Thinking that the dollar is money, that government controls money, that there's a you know, central bank that prints it. So, you know, how do you think that might change a future generation? I mean, just the presence of Bitcoin.
Geez, you know, I think there's a lot to that question, but I think what most people consider money is probably credit, you know, and there's certainly a difference. And I think that going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, as they say, enlightens you to a lot of those things of how it all works and how you know, the central banks have really had a great amount of control over our lives in general. You know, one of the most powerful types of things that we can do is, you know, earn monetary energy, spend monetary energy. And if it's being controlled by someone else, then, you know, I think this is what leads to revolutions, right? So I think that Bitcoin enables us to do things in a completely different way, in a way that I think that is much more fair, that is much more transparent, and that is much more powerful. It really embeds itself in so many different aspects. And I'm still learning about all of those things, but Bitcoin goes far beyond just money as well. I think it leads to many different opportunities, not only domestically but globally, and your ability to do things quicker, more efficiently, more effectively, fairly. I think it is just on a completely different level than what the fiat system is currently.
Yeah. Fairness is a big part of it that maybe doesn't get talked about as much. Obviously, it's a freedom money that protects sovereignty, essentially self-sovereignty. So governments who impose strict capital controls, for instance, Bitcoin's a way to opt out of that. We talk about how it's inflation resistant, et cetera, but the playing field, the economic playing field that Bitcoin will create, where the money is not controlled from the top, right, is certainly more fair. And that's I think an absolutely important aspect of Bitcoin for us to talk about to, the next generations, right? Like, we've lived in this system where money's been manipulated and the economy has essentially been unfair, right? Like, we've had productivity increasing apace at the same rate since early 1970s. Wages go flat. That's completely unfair. And Robert Breedlove calls it time theft, which I think is apt, right? So I think one of the things that this new generation needs to understand, right, is that they're living in a world where it is far more of an equal opportunity. Like, if you're born into the top 1%, it's almost impossible to fall out of it, right? Because you have access to all of the actually scarce assets to store your money. 70%, I think, of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts, right? They don't have access.
Absolutely, which then allows them, because they have those assets, to be able to be a closer source to the money, and to be able to get money and get that credit to be able to do more things, where, as you trickle down, those people that are further down the totem pole don't have that same access. So absolutely. Right. And I think that, one of the things you learn as you're growing up in regards to math is the importance of value or quantities, right? I have, 3 apples. I have 5 of this or 6 of this. We can't verify how many dollars there are in the world. We don't know exactly. If you were to ask someone how much money, it's all estimations, and it really could vary a tremendous amount. And I think the simplicity of Bitcoin, of the fact that we know exactly how many Bitcoin there are, it is what makes that system way more fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of a truth machine, right? We've heard it called that before, right? It's the revolution is auditability, I think, right? It's cheap to verify, right? And we have this we have this completely transparent ledger, and the cost to verify gold is extremely high. Like, who has a gold node in their house, right? But you can spend $200 on a Raspberry Pi and put a Bitcoin node and verify everything yourself. That is democratizing the ability to verify the money supply is amazing. You're right. We can't audit the Fed. We've tried for 25 years. Ron Paul, beat that into the ground. And it's just, it didn't happen because you can't, and they know you can't. And so there's, banks that print dollars, right? Like, giving out loans is effectively printing dollars. So having a ledger that is transparent and verifiable by everybody is just an absolute revolution. This is revolutionary stuff we're talking about.
Yeah. And one of the first things that kind of struck me about Bitcoin was the fact that we don't actually own our money. You give it to the bank, and then you got to ask permission to use your money. And then on top of it, not only are they making money off of your money, investing in whatever they're doing, but then they'll charge you if you want to use your money to do things. Whatever small businesses I've had in my life, and I've had to get something, made in, Pakistan for a jiu-jitsu uniform or whatever, whether it's a wiring fee or, the 2-week process that it takes to get approved to settle that transaction, or, it's wild. And once you start realizing, you're like, wait a sec, I don't even own my own money. How is that possible? Wait a sec. There's something else. Yeah.
It's not money. That's why.
Yeah,
It's not money.
exactly.
It's not money. Yeah, it's credit. It's like credits in your bank account. It's actually debt is what it is, but it looks like,
Right.
you're just giving these numbers show up in your bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah. So remittances, like you're talking about, in global remittances, there are many countries that a big part of their economy, and certainly many families who completely rely on around the world remittances from their family members working in countries like the United States, sending money back. And I've done this. I have some friends in South America, and I've sent them money over the years. And Western Union takes 20% off the top, maybe 25% off the top, and you have to go to some oftentimes sketchy place to pick up this money. Maybe it's 5 hours away or something crazy like that. Right. And because people know you're going to be getting your remittances there in cash,
they're waiting right there to rob.
They're just waiting out there. So it's dangerous as fuck, right?
Totally.
It's just an absolutely awful experience. And yet another application of Bitcoin. It's global money. It's the native money of the internet. So I'm looking forward to, and I'm watching Bitcoin become more usable, around the world. And those applications like that are just going to really become apparent over this next decade as like an absolutely amazing feature of Bitcoin. It's not just an investment opportunity because this might be the future of money, or just a way for rich people to protect the value of their wealth over a long period of time. It's actually changing people's lives all over the world because, money does that. It's the base layer of civilization, of families, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that's what's so amazing about it also, is that it is many things to many people, and it has many uses and benefits. And I find it amazing that it is one of the early cryptocurrencies, or the first major one that is known, to have all of these properties. And I think that it very much is similar to a life form where we are kind of born perfect under God, but we don't have everything downloaded into our brain, right? We don't have everything that we need, but we have the capability to do it. And Bitcoin, like a life form, like an organic life form, has the ability to grow and evolve, and it's been doing that since its nascency, and it's just it's amazing and beautiful to watch.
So it's like a life form. I want to hear one. Let's just start right there. Where did you get that idea that it's like a life form? I know it's been written about, but is there a particular like author that comes out to mind that helps kind of plant that idea in your head?
Yeah, I know that, I believe Robert Breedlove has talked about that to a certain extent.
Yeah, for sure.
But, when you compare it, to life and how it does over time get stronger and it evolves, and it's not this quick rise to the top. It is volatile, like life as well. It is chaotic to a certain extent, as it is right now. And that's and actually it was Robert Breedlove and Michael Saylor talking about it initially. And you think about all the tools and all the different things and all the growth spurts and all the different things and challenges that we go through throughout our life, especially early on, of trying to figure it out. We fall on our face repeatedly, literally and figuratively. But we figure it out and we find a way. And I think Bitcoin has done that, and it's only gotten stronger, and it's maturing as an asset. People are now seeing it for what it is. And I believe it's only going to get stronger over time.
100%, 100%. Looks like we have Jessica available now. Hey. Jessica, can you hear us?
Hey,
Hi.
This is so much better.
Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear us better now.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
It's all good. So Jessica is joining us from a hotel room at an undisclosed location. So I'm
in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. So she was dealing with the Wi-Fi issues there. Looks like you're on your phone now, so it's better. Is that right?
Yes. iPad Pro saved the day.
There you go. Okay, well, welcome, Jessica. Kenny and I are just having a nice discussion about Bitcoin and how revolutionary it is on so many different levels. And I'm glad that you're in now. Would you like to talk about, just introduce yourself, let the audience know who you are, and maybe talk a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin?
I'm Jessica, Playboy Playmate, done some other media ventures, but so I just do different things in Hollywood. I'm a photographer now. Um, I bought Bitcoin philosophically because I think that there's so many broken power structures in our world, and Bitcoin was a way after the last 14 months for me to feel some sense of working towards something that's going to help bring resolution to at least one of our many problems. So it was something for me that brought me back some hope after feeling so, I guess, alienated from optimism. So Bitcoin brought that back to me. So
Yeah, I totally feel that. I was definitely feeling very pessimistic, kind of nihilistic before I found Bitcoin, especially about, I mean, a lot of things, but especially about privacy. I had given up that we were ever going to be able to have privacy in a digital world. And then, Bitcoin comes along and I realize, look, this technology, it does exist. They're making cryptography relatively easy to use in this money use case. And hey, we might have private money. That's a big part of being able to maintain your privacy. What you're spending your money on says so much about who you are and what you're up to, right? So having a little bit of hope in that regard made a huge difference to me. And then I started kind of learning about all the other things that Bitcoin can do for us. It's crazy. So how long, Jessica, have you been into it now?
2 months, I guess. I feel like it's
You're a
gone
noob,
by really quickly.
a new coiner.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. So who brought you in? Like, who was responsible? Somebody on Twitter, or like, did you hear about it from a friend, or what?
Well, I was recently, I guess they call it red pilled. So I was recently red pilled and sort of in the YouTube rabbit hole of figuring out things about like the Great Reset and those kinds of topics. So I found Mark Moss's video, and it was a nice soft push towards, oh well, Bitcoin could resolve this, Bitcoin could resolve that, and they were just considerations. And so I just asked more about that and decided to buy after about, I don't know, 2 weeks of deliberation. It seemed like the thing to do.
Nice. That's yeah, you came up to speed quickly then. So then
Yes.
you joined Bitcoin Twitter, and I've been really enjoying some of your posts, and it's not just about money and economics. You also get into a lot of like just kind of philosophy of the way the world ought to be, politics, etc. So how did you kind of develop this philosophy of life, like just basically the way that you see the world ought to be?
Well, you're watching it all develop, I guess, so it's not exactly polished. It's just my undigested thoughts as I'm forming them. So
Nice.
I hope people can remember that these are all very soft formations that I have, and not so much hard beliefs that I have. So I'm sure that opens me up to a lot of criticism, but it like life's changed so much. If I'm not changing with it, I feel like I'm just missing that opportunity.
Yeah, Bitcoin will take you off into all kinds of little tangents, down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and teach you all kinds of different things. So Kenny, what's one of those things, those little side rabbit holes that you followed after learning about Bitcoin, and sort of been surprised at what you learned, or just something new completely that it came into your worldview?
Haven't learned anything. I knew everything already. Geez, what haven't I learned? It leads to so many different paths. But I continue to learn. I still feel like there's so much to learn. But I think obviously I was pretty ignorant about I think how the financial world worked. I think what was intriguing about it was the fact that it was a sovereign money. That was pretty attractive. I think that whoever this Satoshi Nakamoto is clearly had an understanding of philosophy, of economics, obviously, coding. there's so much there. I don't know. I think just understanding also the history of money and how it has evolved, and clearly how much it is needed in today's world where everything is turning digital. We are currently conversing on the internet, and so many of our transactions and interactions are happening in the internet, and Bitcoin seems like the perfect way to transact monetarily.
Yeah, absolutely. Jessica, how about you? I mean, I know it's only been a couple of months, but I saw you with Jordan Peterson's book on the plane.
Yes.
A couple of days ago. Is that a little side rabbit hole that you were inspired to dive into based on Bitcoin, or just your experience in Bitcoin?
Well, I my undergraduate's in psychology, so I found Jordan Peterson on YouTube a long time ago, before the political polarization and everything that unfolded for him. So for me, that was my first tip off that maybe something wasn't quite right about the media, which is what the path that led me to Bitcoin. So I would say that he fit into the journey a little earlier.
Yeah. So have either of you experienced any like pushback from family and friends about your interest in Bitcoin, or like any of the, yeah, I mean, just in particular, like what do your family and friends think about it when you are like, hey, I'm into Bitcoin? They just find out, maybe ask you about it. Kenny, you can go first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, especially a couple years ago, did my best to orange pill everybody. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely had our conversations, and it's also has helped me kind of get educated on it as well. But yeah, no one else is really involved. I think my mom may have got some recently, but yeah, she was interested in it. I think a lot of it has led to kind of healthy debates. Sometimes not healthy debates, just straight up arguments. But my family's from Peru, and I know that they've gone through at least a couple different currencies since I've been alive. So I think that probably hits home for them. We have family in Venezuela who, of course, are experiencing a crazy situation over there.
Yeah.
So I think that for anyone who is kind of, obviously the United States is in a completely different situation. But if you think that that's not possible, you're crazy. It could absolutely happen to any currency, to any country. So there's that aspect, that there are legitimate fears around that. Yeah, I've had a lot of different discussions with friends, and I've orange pilled a few of my friends and some fighters out there as well. And
Nice.
I think more than anything else, I think, don't even go by what I say. Don't go by what anybody says. Go out and do your research. Go out and find out about how everything works. And I think that if you do the work, and it is, I think, a lot of researching, a lot of reading, and a lot of listening, true listening, you'll come to those conclusions. And I think that there's a lot of misinterpretations about how hardcore the Bitcoin community is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's so much about Bitcoin because they just believed what someone says. You become a hardcore Bitcoin believer when you actually go and do the work, and you realize that there is an answer to all of your questions, that it actually solves so many of the problems that are out there. And that is what makes someone a maximalist or a hardcore Bitcoiner, or so it's been a beautiful journey, and I will continue to learn a lot.
So Jessica, have you had any friends or family be like, what the heck is this Bitcoin thing? What are you doing? It's going to boil the oceans. I hear all this terrible stuff about it.
Actually, not really. No, I haven't had a lot of family. I've talked about it somewhat, or they'll come across something that I say online, and they're just like, wow, that's expensive. It's really expensive. You must make a lot of money. And so, then I'll have an opportunity to discuss, obviously, fractionalized ownership and that type of thing. But Remember, like I'm a Bitcoiner because philosophically, I needed repairs in my perception of the world. So there's so much that everybody else doesn't. If they don't see a problem, they don't necessarily. They're not looking for solutions, right?
Right.
I still am trying to understand Bitcoiners that bought in for, the purpose of just interest in crypto, and because it's, the number one, the first one, the successful one. But I don't really know how to approach people about Bitcoin until they have recognized that there's problems. And that's a part of me just having been so new to the space. So I don't pitch it a lot if people, I'm still in the phase where I'm learning so much about it and learning how to present it.
I think I think it's so important, like Jessica is on her own journey and kind of discovered it on her own, but it's hard on any level to just teach someone something by like going out there and being like, this is how it is. Like, it's hard for people to kind of take that in. But I think that when you involve someone in that process and like in the learning process and kind of have a back and forth kind of conversation, they can kind of get there so long as they have an open mind. I think the other way, and this is a more expensive way, is you give them some Bitcoin. And even if it's like $10 or $50 of Bitcoin or whatever it is, like, here's this thing that grows. Here's your magic internet money. Go learn about it. And
so
it's yours now.
When I'm trying to do that, I'll say, hey, I wanna tip you, some content creator or somebody that I think is like right on the cusp of becoming a Bitcoiner. So I'll tip them in US dollar, but I'll put some contingency on it, like, just some emotional guilt. So like, here's how you do it. Sign up, at this Swan link here. Here you go. Is everything you need, and here's the money to do it. And it's generous enough that I feel like maybe they're compelled to do it. But even if they don't, I wouldn't know anyway. So if they're not interested in it, it's still a gift, right? So it's still something they can convert. But I'm not giving anybody my Bitcoin. I'm not buying Teslas with my Bitcoin.
That's the thing. Who's buying Teslas with Bitcoin, by the way? Like, who's doing that?
Well,
who will do that?
Me, that was all just like confidence signal, right? So I think Elon likes to just play with his ability to influence people. So that was my call on that. But I don't necessarily think that he was getting orders in Bitcoin. I mean, obviously, like the potential, like, why would you want to pay that much for a car? We're going to the
seven people bought Bitcoin with Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many people in this who are using Bitcoin as a store of value, a long-term store of value, obviously, that are going to spend their Bitcoin. There are definitely people in other parts of the world who are, spending Bitcoin. And not coincidentally, there are, parts of the world where, the money sucks, like even worse than the US dollar. And it's not being taxed like it is, here in the US or, in other countries like that. So it's just,
you can avoid having to learn capital gains if you don't, give it to anybody, don't sell it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Don't pay capital gains, guys. I did that in 2017 when I got in, and I'm going to ask you guys this question here in just a minute, especially Jessica, since you're only 2 months in now. I went down the rabbit hole a couple months, read everything I could about Bitcoin, watched all of the videos that were out there, which wasn't nearly as much as is out there now, and amazing progress in terms of Bitcoin education content that's out there in the past 4 years. But then I found Vitalik Buterin and fell for his shtick on YouTube, which is still obviously going strong, and it's just kind of a platform for gambling tokens at this point. And I'm wondering first, let me wrap it up by saying I ended up owing a bunch of taxes on capital gains, short-term capital gains, which is at your income tax rate. So it's like whatever, 25, 30, 35%. So there's no way. I'm sorry, even in a raging bull market, as a noob trader, you may think you're making some money. One, you're making it in dollars, probably not Bitcoin. And two, you've got to outperform this insane capital gains tax. So if you're watching this and you're relatively new, don't do it. Don't do that. Buy and hold, right? So Kenny, did you fall into the shitcoin trap at all and go through any of that?
No.
Good.
No, yeah, I did. No, I did. I'm an idiot. No, well, listen, I think that you get used to this idea that, you can kind of be risky with your money to a certain extent, and you're like, oh, get greedy, and what if I buy this coin, and this coin says it can do this, and this coin says, and I was just frankly ignorant about the situation. And back in 2017, I spent a little bit of my Bitcoin, which still hurts me, on other shit coins. But you know what? I am that much more of a hardcore Bitcoiner today because of that. I understand those pitfalls. I fell on my face and have learned about that. And I haven't sold since, again, 2017. So, and I won't.
All right. So you're probably getting hit up about all of these shitcoins, Jessica. This one's better. It's the next Bitcoin. This can do this. It can do that. What are you thinking?
Stop sending me information about other coins because I don't care. It's not. I didn't come to Bitcoin for the casino aspects of just making, quick returns. That isn't. I feel entrepreneurial enough that I can just. There's all kinds of ways to make money now. I'm more incentivized since I have the money to believe in. I'm more incentivized to figure out what those money making endeavors could be for the sake of buying more Bitcoin, especially now because it's on sale. I mean, how great is that? But I don't want to dilute down my message. I don't want to start talking, getting distracted by other coins. I just feel like this is the one that could save us. And because I'm a philosophical Bitcoiner, I just stick with Bitcoin. There's lots of ways.
Bitcoin is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
the next Bitcoin
why would I want to give market
sets.
competition to the thing that I love? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. That's strong. And I have been seeing this as a trend during this cycle that, people coming into the Bitcoin space are just skipping right past having to fall on your face to learn, like Kenny and I did, and really able to develop that conviction. And I chalk that up to, this amazing educational resources that are out there right now. And it's just so the case is laid out in a way where you can really understand it in such a much shorter amount of time. And I definitely thankful for that and want to continue seeing that as a trend. But as long as we have dog coins going to the moon, that mission is not complete. And I don't think we're definitely obviously not out of that this cycle. And I feel like it's just going to continue for a little while. But whatever. Those people will learn.
Yeah.
What piece of FUD concerned you the most? Like, what was the last piece of FUD you really had to be convinced about to just to really go all in on Bitcoin, if anything? Jessica, you want to start on that one? Like, what was your kind of last concern before you're like, all right, I'm all in on this thing?
Well, I just wanted some optimism again, and Bitcoin was particularly optimistic crowd. It was a nice way to add some digital gold to my red pilling and get that orange pill. So I don't know. I
anything
didn't
in
listen
this?
I just wasn't somebody that listened to criticism about it and then weighed my options. I was like, this is the right thing to do, and I just wanted to do the right thing and get behind people that also want to do the right thing. It's been an interesting filtration system of because I don't come from a finance background. You couldn't have found somebody that was less or interested in finance, but because of a curiosity and a commitment to Bitcoin, it's led me to economics, all kinds of things that I care about now that I didn't care about 2 months ago. And you can make all those changes as proportionate to your willingness to dive in, really. So, and because I live in LA, there's been nothing to do except for learn through the computer. So I don't get to go anywhere. I don't get to do a whole lot, we're still shut down. So.
Well, it sounds like you're getting away from there for a little while. We'll be in Miami next week. Who are you excited about seeing speak in Miami? We've got, this is another great thing that we're seeing developed is politicians getting into Bitcoin, some representatives and senators, and Ron Paul will be there now. We found out yesterday or the day before that. We've got Senator Cynthia Lummis, Michael Saylor, Jack Dorsey, Tony Hawk, Nick Szabo. headlining, all kinds of amazing Bitcoiners beyond that. Is there anybody in particular that you're excited about seeing?
Ron Paul's an amazing one, definitely. I'm excited to let the electronic veil drop from everybody. So I gotta say, It'll just be cool to see people in 3D in front of me, sharing their educational positions and that type of thing. So, is Tim Dillon still on the roster? Is he still?
I don't know off the top of my head. Yes, he is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that comedy because since the shutdown is how I know Tim Dillon. So even though we both live in Hollywood and I have to drive farther than just down the road to hear his jokes, so we have to go to Miami and be free people. So we'll go to Miami and be free people. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Nice.
And Jack Dorsey, like I go back and forth. I know that he's a great Bitcoin advocate for many reasons, and obviously, like I'm a heavy Twitter user, so I love him for making the perfect digital product. But I have some inquiry about his positions about being a purveyor of 1A. So other than those kinds, I might catch him in the hallway.
Yeah.
And have a couple.
He might get an earful from Bitcoiners. It's definitely his head's in the right space, and it's interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Jessica. Sorry.
I just don't think that you have to absolutely love every position anybody has ever had, and obviously for me, doing a complete 180, those aren't expectations that I have. I don't have to love everything you do to love what you contribute to Bitcoin. Also, when people want to come in and meddle with Bitcoin in a negative way, of course, the immune system of Bitcoin comes to attack those people. And I try to not do that too heavily because you don't, everything, like all of life isn't Bitcoin. So I don't want to, go in too hard for people.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. I think the purity test can be over applied for sure. But yeah, I am appreciative of Bitcoiners who, have a very, very strict purity test. That's fine. We need to have, people of all sorts of various levels of acceptance, I think, in the Bitcoin community. And we do, you need to also have people who are going to listen to someone who just doesn't know what they're talking about and try to bring them along on the path. So Kenny, I know you're not going to be able to make it because you just had your baby recently, or your wife had your baby, and
still his baby.
It's still your baby, though, right?
Yes.
Anybody? It's going to be all broadcast. The main stage will. So, if you were going to tune in, anybody in particular that you'd like to hear from?
Geez, Ron Paul, of course. That'd be really cool. I think
Floyd Mayweather's there too.
Mayweather.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. All right.
That's interesting.
Okay.
When he changes from Team Money to Team Bitcoin,
maybe that might happen this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's see. What else are we doing in Miami? Jessica, what are you up to? Are you going to any side events, or do you have anything scheduled, or are you just hanging out with the plebs?
Well, don't we have something going on with Swan one of those evenings? Right?
Yes, we do have something going on with Swan one of those evenings. So I hope you'll be there. We're gonna have a little party with Mark Moss at his like rooftop or whatever, or like top floor hotel suite, which is going to be awesome. And of course, what I mentioned at the top, you weren't here yet, but we'll be broadcasting both days from the Swan Dome. So I'd welcome you to come and join us and sit down and kind of mix it up a little bit with us there as well. And yeah. So we got that going on. What else are you interested in doing while we're down there?
Well, I'll definitely come by what do you call the Swan Dome?
Swan Dome. Yeah.
Exciting. Well, I'll definitely make my way there and then after party. Is that the right thing to call it? I already forgot the terminology.
There's parties everywhere. Yeah. You're just going to find your way. You go down there and find your way around. You'll figure out what's hot and what's not. Just show up.
Justine invited me to something.
Nice. Yeah, Justine's great. She's at Unchained Capital now.
Yeah. So that was the other invite I got. So I might come through there and meet her. That'd be fun.
Are you going to Indianapolis this weekend?
Oh,
Sunday,
put
there's
the pressure on. Well, like I said, I'm in New York right now, and so I'm leaving Friday, and I would need to get there Saturday.
yeah.
So kind of a quick turnaround. I would certainly like to. I just need to logistically look into that, but I know that's another big party and a lot of hype around that. So that'd
Oh
be
man,
fun.
it's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, what do you think about it, Kenny? Indy 500 car at the Indianapolis 500.
It's really cool, man. I love that. You know, we're looking for other ways to get Bitcoin, or I guess as a brand, out there, and to get some notoriety. Obviously, it's a big deal race, and yeah, I hope it leads to more people finding out about it. And you know, I love how a bunch of the Bitcoiners got together, Jack Mallers and Saylor and all those guys, to make it happen. So it's exciting, and I guess it's got it's going to be in the front, I guess, right? So
Yeah, first three.
good
right?
camera angle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. There's a chance this Bitcoin car can win. So
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm an
That's
F1
huge.
fan. I haven't watched
Me
much
too.
Indy racing, so maybe I'll become an Indy fan now because of this. So yeah, I mean, can you imagine how exciting that would be? Indianapolis 500 Bitcoin car wins on Sunday, and then we go to the conference, and I don't know. It feels like we're geared up price wise for, you know, kind of a recovery back and testing those 60Ks, and you know, who knows? Like, do you guys have I mean, you know, price, whatever. We're all in it for the long term, but do you have any, you know, numbers in mind of where you think this thing might go in the next 6 months by the end of this bull market?
Man, you know, it's obviously a difficult thing to do. I think we'll hit 100,000. I think we should hit at least 100,000. I don't see a reason why not. I think people are still learning about it. Institutions, I think, are probably gearing up to get in soon. I think that process takes some time. And yeah, I say at least 100,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, the only
What about you?
reason I don't want to see 100K is because I don't want the laser eyes to go away. So once we hit 100K,
They don't have to. They don't have to go away.
We'll have to just raise the bench, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The end destination for that.
Laser ray to 1 million, 1,000K.
Yeah, some people's projections are just aggressive for Bitcoin. So, and obviously, I hope that they're right. So. I'm never going to sell mine regardless. Like, it doesn't matter to me. So, I mean, obviously, I want everything to go well for everybody in the space. So, but even if it doesn't, I'm still here for the long ride. So.
Yeah, me too. This thing could take a beating, and we could be in a dead, cold, bear market for whatever, however many years, and it's going to happen again at some point. And like I was telling Kenny before we started recording, bear markets are great. They're great.
Yeah.
You get to accumulate the whole way down, the whole way back up, and you know, the spotlight's off, so you can build, you can, you know, make educational content. You know, it's just kind of you're there with your crew on Bitcoin Twitter, and no one else really cares, and you just kind of hang out and talk and figure things out and distill the messaging for the next bull run. And then, you know, then it comes and it's just, the heat is on and it's insane, especially for Bitcoin businesses.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though. Like, as much as I think like it's the individual that should own Bitcoin, and now is a great time to do that. But I think as it gets bigger, you know, you're going to see institutional money in there, and I think that the bigger it gets, I think the less we're going to see those fluctuations. I don't think we're going to, because more people would, in theory, be hodling. I don't think we're going to see those huge drops. Like, I think once you start hitting, you know, the value of gold, I don't see a whole lot of drops, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I was right there with you, man. I put together a whole thread that sort of went viral called hodl FOMO, because people are gonna, you know, just start understanding in mass what this thing is, and that it's a, you know, long-term investment, and hodl is the way to go, and people are going to start FOMOing in instead of trying to, you know, make a little you know, fiat dollar 5x or 10x in the next year or so. You're FOMOing in to hold. And I was saying the same thing. I don't think we'll see as big a drops on this cycle and stuff. We've obviously saw a bigger drop than we saw all during last cycle. So I think what's happening now is we're sort of in the age of more easily accessible leverage, and these guys are levering up
100x.
100x, right? And it's just more easily accessible, and the volatility for those traders who like have the experience and believe in themselves, like that kind of volatility is hard to ignore. And so they want to just wreck those leverage people, buy the way back up, and just keep doing that over and over again. So yeah, I think you're right though. Once you get up more like a $10 trillion market cap, I think the volatility definitely decreases, because the percentage of people who are playing with 100x leverage relative to holders is going to be a lot lower, I think. Yeah. Awesome.
It surprises me how many people base their financial decisions off of what a celebrity says. That's so wild to me, because I couldn't care less.
Yeah, unless it's me saying that it goes up to 100,000.
Yeah, well, I live off every word that you say, so definitely. Do you still have?
I know, man.
Do you still have the jiu-jitsu gym, or?
I used to have. I no longer have it in Los Angeles, but I have one in Boston.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was curious because you were in Santa Monica, or still?
Yes, exactly, Santa Monica. Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a great combo, guys. If you have anything to add, I'd love to hear it. I'm excited about Miami. Glad you're going to be able to be there, Jessica. Totally understand why you're not going to be able to be there, Kenny. But next year, this thing's it's going to get even bigger next year, I think. So look forward to having you down there then and hanging out. So any last thoughts on Bitcoin, on the conference, whatever you got, just sign off, something you're working on, you want to share. Happy to hear it. And then we'll wrap this thing up.
Buy Bitcoin. That's fun.
Nice.
I'll see y'all in Miami real soon.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be there. I'm hoping I'll be able to go to the next one. I think for people, do your research, learn about it, have fun with it. It's a process. It takes time. And that's it. Yeah, like Jessica said, buy Bitcoin, but only after you do your research. I think that's the most important thing. And thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate you guys taking the time. Come on. It was a ton of fun. And all right, we'll wrap this guy up. Great episode. Just a fun one to go into Miami, and we're all obviously super excited about it. I can't wait to see you all down there. Come and see me in the Swan Dome. If you're up for it, maybe we'll grab you and stick you in the panel, and you can hang out and talk with some other Bitcoiners about what you're seeing down there, about what you're thinking about Bitcoin, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Head over to swanbitcoin.com. If you're not stacking with Swan yet, what are you doing? You got to start stacking with Swan. All right. Accumulate this thing, buy Bitcoin. As Kenny and Jessica were saying, this is a long-term game. All right. Don't let those leverage players, those degens out there scare you away when they're cascading, bids, crash this thing, $10,000 in a couple of days. Once you get to that point, you really have that conviction. You understand what's going on here and what Bitcoin really is. That's fun. It's fun to watch, right? It's kind of exhilarating. And like Jessica was saying, you get to buy Bitcoin on a discount. So keep stacking. We'll see you down there in Miami. Come check us out at the Swan Dome. We'll be hanging out Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. We'll all be going out. We have like 15-20 members of the Swan crew who are going to be down there hanging out as well. So it's going to be a blast. It's amazing. Bitcoin 2019 was one of the best experiences of my Bitcoin life, really launched my Bitcoin career. So it's an opportunity to meet everybody who is a part of this growing industry. If you're here watching this, you know more about Bitcoin than basically everyone else on the planet. So it's still really early. You have an understanding, you have skills to offer. These are the people that you want to meet to get into this industry, and the Bitcoin only industry. You have that standard. You only want to work for a Bitcoin only company. I get that. Same here, right? So there's more and more Bitcoin only companies that will be opening for business over the next, this coming decade. So if you're angling to get into the Bitcoin industry, this is a must attend. There's still tickets available. I know they're expensive. expensive, but like I said, it's worth it for the connections and friendships that you'll make and solidify down there. So hope to see you all down there. Take care.